Hey, everybody. Welcome to a special live edition of the Second Shift. Mike Verkest, Dr. Ritu Sani. We wanted to start out this episode real quick with just a quick tribute and moment of silence to Jake Dendinger, who was the EMT out of Tucson, Arizona, who lost his life yesterday after being shot about a week ago while staged for a call. Of course, there was a few other people injured as well, a firefighter, his partner, and we just really want to send out lots of love and thoughts and prayers and well wishes to all of our colleagues from AMR, GMR, Tucson Fire, everybody that was involved. So with that, I'm just going to switch us over here, and we'll just take a quick moment of silence, okay? Okay, buddy. Hi.
Oh, that makes it hard to do the jackassery now.
Yeah, it does. Well, we were supposed to record, yesterday and then the day before that, and it's just a shitty time. A lot of shitty stuff going on. And I wasn't in the mood. You weren't in the mood.
Well, no, I'm not. Yeah, this week's been really hard. Not feeling it so much this week.
Yeah.
The lots of stuff. Our emergency department. Oop, am I echoing now?
Oh, are you? I don't know. I don't hear nothing.
Okay. Yeah, just our emergency department is really busy. Had some very, very sick patients that didn't do well early in the week.
Yeah.
That always weighs on you. You kind of go back and are like, what, the ones that are like arrive and they're like at death's door, and that's one thing. It's the ones that are sick, but
yeah,
you thought you kind of made them all better or helped. They were doing a little bit better when they went upstairs, and that's just that starts out, and then And then this week with all of the stuff, we probably should talk about the situation at some point.
Oh, we're going to.
I know. And then I told you the absurd story about how like our emergency department is pretty much overrun. Usually like a couple hour wait is a bad wait, but we're 8 or 9 hours waiting now during the middle of the week. Yeah. And then in the middle of our shift, Epic just stopped working, and we found out that like Epic in all of Oregon and California went down.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was just an absurdist, like somebody, a really bad writer.
Like you're looking for the cameras. Like, all right, where's the goddamn cameras at?
Yeah, right. We're waiting for what was that Truman Show or whatever.
What was the show where it was the hidden camera show? Come on, help us out in the damn chat.
Well, Truman Show was the movie.
Truman Show was the movie, right? But it was
Jerry
with was Jack whatever was the host who created it, Jack something or other. Oh man. No one's helping us. But once again, I see our good friend Dr. John Turner is hanging out with us. And if you can see on my phone, it says, John Turner's watching, John Turner's watching, John Turner's watching, John Turner's watching, John Turner's watching.
That's really cool.
Camera. Thank you, Dan. Hello, buddy. I knew if anyone would get it, it would be him. He's 1,000 years old. Or punked. Yes, thank you for the newer kids.
So just wasn't feeling it this week. And then this news with this young man who really just was staged for a completely different call.
And it turns out it was all related, right? It was a structure fire. It was just a whole bad setup, right? Like the bad guy killed people, set the house on fire, then went and shot at the fire department, shot at the two EMTs, or I don't know if one was the other one was an EMT. I know Jake was an EMT. And then he was subsequently killed by the police. That's just a whole damn shit, And it just kills me too. This is a 20-year-old kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just getting started in his career. Was excited, probably loved working for AMR, going out, going on calls.
You'll learn better on that. Oh no, no.
Yeah, right.
Wait a minute, I'm an AMR medical director. I can't say that. Sorry.
Yeah, knock it off. What's wrong with you? Anyway, yeah. So it's just it's shitty, And my kid just getting ready to do his national registry written test, and he's getting ready to go out there and do this stuff, and it just scares the shit out of me. It's like,
yeah. Well, we have our hidden episode where we talked to one of our friends who was
ambushed,
who was attacked. Just that time they were at a light.
Yeah, stoplight.
And then which was got a lot of news here in Portland. But unfortunately, we did a very wonderful podcast, and then it just disappeared.
It certainly did.
There you go. Operation Enduring Clusterfuck.
Yeah.
It's not just COVID-19 though now, right? It's like COVID-19 and then fires and ice storms and 118-degree temperature. It's just like one after another.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what's next.
Zolkin's like, what's the good news?
We'll get
I don't know.
We're just wallowing. It's just like, let us wallow for a minute. Because I know you guys are wallowing. Let's wallow together.
It's therapeutic to talk about this stuff sometimes.
I've got, just real quick, my inaugural season Hillsboro Hops Baseball Cup. We went to the very first home game ever. Picked this up. Currently filled with Diet Pepsi and Buffalo Trace. Not really something you hear a lot about, but that's my combo tonight.
That is. Well, I have my Blazers wine tumbler. And of course, I have recently given up my Blazers season tickets.
Yes, you have.
And this with a rye and Diet Coke with the Burnside oak aged rye and
geez.
And that's a local distillery.
Yeah.
Or so rye and diet, or we like to call it a riot.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's very Portland,
Yeah. Okay, a riot. I just thought it was a clever name. I didn't put the two things together. Yeah.
And then for Veer, I've got my Ben Franklin look going. Because last time we were on, Veer said he called me the Indian Ben Franklin.
Yeah, and actually, I have that on my notes. Selena says she's cooking ribeyes. That's pretty good for her and her mom.
That's nice. I see notes. I can't read the. Now you got to hold it
focus. It says Indian Ben Franklin because I wanted to like that is so good that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget it. I keep wanting to mess with my microphone, but I'm afraid this patch is going to fall off. Yeah, we should talk about that.
Talk about Indian Ben Franklin?
No, the Delta.
The Delta.
The situation.
The situation.
Yeah, I got a little thing coming up here. There it is. We'll just leave this on here in the meantime. So here's what I know.
I'm actually flying tomorrow on Delta, and I'm going to ask for a Corona. Well,
I don't. Are they serving beers? Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, they were. Last time I flew, I had my usual Jack and Diet, or as I call it, a Giant. No, I mean I don't know. That's probably not a thing.
Oh my God, you got me just as I was taking a sip.
I know. It worked out really good. So yeah, I don't know. Did they ever carry Corona? I don't know. I don't really drink beer, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's not true, Ed. I had them unless they changed their tune.
Yeah, no, I think that they have alcohol for, shall we say, certain seats.
Steve Smith giving vaccines right now at a clinic. Attaboy. You
go, Steve.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about Delta? You want to talk about the CDC paper that came out yesterday? We should just talk. I mean, the people that are watching, hi everybody, by the way. I see Stuart and Ed, Steve, Jay-Z, Dr. Turner, just everybody. Dan Odom, of course. Who else is on here? Dave Jensen, lots of people. Hello. Thanks for hanging out with us. We did a 4:00-er. I know there's a few Pacific Daylight Time people on here, but we figured to give you a little early evening entertainment on a Saturday. because who else has got something going on Saturday?
Look, normally
Except for the
I'd go out.
110,000 people at Lollapalooza.
Yeah, this would be our normal little date night. Over the last look at my wife's on here now too.
That's awesome.
So she'll vouch that Saturdays we've been trying to go out and go do we go usually do our little Costco errands that we do, and and then we'd go hit somewhere and have lunch, but we just aren't going to now. We did our errands, but we didn't go to a restaurant.
Yeah, we had eaten in a couple of restaurants over the last 2-3 weeks, and we are done eating inside for now.
Yeah,
probably still okay eating outside at our own table, but not going to do the inside thing.
Yeah. So for the people that are watching, maybe I mean, I just like to say that people that watch us are pretty well informed. They're not dumb. They know what's going on. But maybe they share this video with some people. So where did Delta come from? Why is there such thing as Delta, Epsilon, Lambda? What's going on, and what in the hell is people doing about it?
Well, I mean, the different variants, and if you watch Loki, you get very involved in variants, but they all had longer names like B1137, and because people were having a hard time with that, they were getting named kind of after where they first cropped up, which is sort of, I mean, it's sort of a roll of the dice where these crop up, right? It could have happened in Chicago, and so they decided, let's give the variants names before people name them. So that's how that's how they decided to name. So the first variant that was like that started off in Great Britain kind of last year, that was one that is now called the Alpha variant.
Oh, okay.
And so this Delta variant is the variant that was in India a few months ago that caused, massive death and destruction because it was a very non-vaccinated community of people. They say that the Indian government numbers are off by a factor of 10 in terms of the number of people that died from this variant. So so that's, and then every time a new variant kind of pops up, it still has that name which is based on sort of what the, it's like the flu H1N1. Those are the expression of the proteins on the outside.
Yeah.
So similar with the different variants having the different protein names. And so I think we're up to Lambda, I believe, in terms of the variants that they've named. The
quick little hat tip to Lambda, which was a very prestigious Greek life college culture at, what was the name of their school? What was the name of the school? Revenge of the Nerds. Adams College.
I don't remember. I mean, I've seen it. I thought, yeah. Lambda.
So good.
I mean, we're already at the Delta House, Animal House, right?
True.
At Faber College, shot, of course, at the University of Oregon in Eugene.
Indeed.
So, but anyway, so yeah, that's where this comes from, and from a genetic kind of, the thing about Darwinian, evolution is when you have something that reproduces and mutates this quickly, you can have you can see what happens when one version or one variant or one mutation gives it an advantage. And so the Delta variant has an advantage because it's so much more easily transmissible than any other variants. And so it moves into that space. And then the big changes that the CDC decide, the numbers are all going up. Like I think Florida's got up to like 18 or 19,000 cases a day all of a sudden.
Yep.
We were down to like 100 cases a day in Oregon.
We're on our fourth day of 1,000 or more, which is a lot for us.
Yeah. I mean, we were, 48th in the country in cases per capita. and we might still be. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if Texas and Florida keep pumping out 20,000, 25,000 a day.
Right. No, and of course, I'm going to Texas tomorrow. But
yeah. And I'm going to Arizona in 2 weeks.
But it sounds like everybody. Oh, John Turner, I'm going to Texas tomorrow, but I'm still going to be available.
Oh, just so you know.
Just so you know. Everybody at this meeting I'm going to is supposed to be vaccinated. So, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, that's been that's been the kind of progression. And then the big thing that happened this week, the numbers are going up, and then the CDC sort of reversed course on masks, and everybody's like freaking out. And it was funny because we were talking to. I never really stopped wearing a mask.
I sort of did.
I kind of was in between, but like when I would go to a place where I knew there were going to be a lot of people inside, I was still wearing a mask.
Well, for me, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I guess I stopped. I mean, if I just think back, like, so at work, I know that at least the people in my group, my immediate group, they're all vaccinated. So I was cool with that. But like I'd go to Costco and I would wear my mask, and then I wouldn't, and then I'd wear it for a little bit and then I'd take it off. And then I was really like just sort of all over the place. And then I wouldn't wear it.
No, I mean, we were in a meeting. Oh, sorry. I interrupted you. Yeah. I mean, we were in a meeting together Monday, and we knew everybody in that meeting was vaccinated, so we didn't wear masks there. It was like 10 people, all right?
Yeah.
I mean, we still sat not 6 feet apart, but we sat apart.
Yeah.
But I was still wearing my mask when I was going to Costco or at Fred Meyer or what have you.
Well, and
but we were also eating inside. But so what changed? And I think that's the question, right? What changed? And I think there's two things. When vaccinations first started, a lot of people were like, why are you still wearing it? Why do people who are vaccinated still need to wear a mask, et cetera, et cetera? And I said, the thing that's going to drive whether or not you wear a mask is what the curve looks like. If the curve is going down and staying down, and you have a lot of vaccinated people in your community, then that's probably reasonable. But if you're starting to see a spike, and what's been the hallmark? Why has this been so much different than anything else? Even the flu, when you get the flu, you are not contagious until you're sick.
Right.
And what's been the problem with this virus all along has been the relatively asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic transmission.
Right.
And so when you see the numbers start to going back up, that there's, again, asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic transmission happening. That's really time to start wearing a mask again and start trying to do things that you can to mitigate the likelihood of passing it on. So that's one piece. And then the second piece was the study that was published by the CDC yesterday. So if you go to the CDC MMWR Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, they have tons of public health data studies that come out on COVID, and actually a lot of other really great public health stuff too. Mm-hmm. But they published a paper yesterday, finally, which looked at a mass gathering in Massachusetts, which resulted in a large number of transmissions. For the paper, it was about 469 patients, which in the overall scheme of the number of people that were there, actually isn't that many, but it was 469 positives. Somewhere I read, and this is not verified, so don't take it as such, but somewhere I had read that cohort is up to 900. And a sizable chunk of those folks were vaccinated, which is fine, by the way. The more vaccinated we are as a population, the higher percentage you will sort of paradoxically see more breakthrough, right? So that's okay. But what they then did was they were able to measure viral load in these patients. And what they found in the folks who were vaccinated, previous data had said that the vaccinated people who get COVID probably, or not probably, the people who get COVID and were vaccinated had a lower viral load, so their ability to transmit was lower. But these people, the majority was the Delta variant, and the people who were vaccinated and positive with Delta had the same viral load, meaning when they cough and they spit or whatever, there's the same amount of virus put out as the folks who are not vaccinated. Yeah. So that's the game changer. That's what caused the CDC to sort of do an about face on masks and so on. And I think the data looks pretty real I have no reason to believe that the laboratory's faking this data, which I think some,
Well, you got no reason to believe that, but there are people that have reasons. So that's the big piece of data that changed. Realize that July 1st, the entire United States basically stopped, wearing everything. Stopped wearing masks and opened up everything.
Opened everything up. And so it does make some sense that the numbers would go up. But it was interesting because the numbers were still going down in Oregon, and that was very exciting. Like 2 weeks ago, it looked really good. The numbers were going down, and people were living their regular life. And we knew that Delta was out there, but and then we had that first wave kind of hit Missouri, and then it sort of kind of spread from there.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, because of politics, and this is what's frustrating to me, is now it's a political thing. People are not willing. We have lost the political will to do anything. When you think, if we masked up and locked down for 2 weeks, we'd be done. Fall would look much better.
Yeah.
But because we just lack the political will to do that. And it's frustrating to me.
Here's our graph. It's probably backwards for everybody, but
no, it's not backwards, Russ.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
backwards for you.
This was June 21st right here, and this is today. So you can see that right there. That ain't right. That's the wrong way.
Yeah. And the other thing to take out of that CDC study, nobody in that cohort died. It appears that vaccines still make a huge difference in how sick you get, and ultimately vaccines still make a huge difference in how transmissible this is. And that's the other sort of, again, as the country gets more vaccinated, you will see a higher percentage of people who get COVID be vaccinated people. And that's just how the math works. It doesn't mean that the vaccine is actually less effective. And so again, the ticket out of all of this is getting vaccinated. And the other data that I saw is that in the state of Oregon, that EMS workers are less vaccinated than the general population. And that is just fucking frustrating. We are supposed to be public health leaders. People look at EMS people. They look up to us, and it's time. That's the other. Talk about not feeling it. I mean, we need to lead, and we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to the community, to our patients, and to our families. And we need to act on that responsibility.
So and that begs a couple of questions. Is there anything we can do about that? Because I'm not sure $100 gift card to Walmart's gonna convince people. You think so? I don't know.
I think it catches some people.
It's gonna catch some people. Okay, so the other thing is a lot of people love to say, well, this is not even FDA approved. Why would I be a lab rat for your non-approved vaccine? Well, they're not going to have that much longer, right?
Right.
Like,
I mean,
that's any time that's coming through.
And that's a message I think that's important, is to get it approved. I think what people don't, I was reading some stuff today. What helps, the reason why it's taking longer to get, the approval process isn't just, this is the science, this is safe, this is effective. It's also long-term manufacturing process. And that's been part of the holdup. And the other is that it takes 6 to 12 months or more. I think 12 to 18 months actually, for the approval process to play out. And so, this has been approved for about 7 months now, emergency use authorization for about 7 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And so we haven't even really hit the regular time it takes for approval. That being said, I think that the FDA needs to understand that approving this will, I think, go a long way. The other piece is that they need to get the EUA done for less.
But will it?
I
feel like, so if there's somebody watching that's all against the vaccine because it's not approved, I'm just curious, because I don't understand that train of thought really exactly. I don't know. I just don't understand that. But I guess
I think it fits with. You have to understand that there's been a general lack of trust in institutions, which I think skepticism is not a bad thing in general.
Yeah.
But and then, what's been sad has been this sort of lack in trust in experts. When you have people who, for political gain, basically say, well, these experts are wrong, is terrible. I've talked to some patients in the emergency department, and what's frustrating to me is I've talked to some patients and their family, and they say, I was just waiting for more information. And I'm like, well, what more information are you waiting for? And I've had a couple say, yeah, no, I think you've convinced me, I'll get it. And we're not giving it anymore at the hospital. It's like, well, you got to go to your pharmacy to get it. I'm like, dude, you're right here. You got to take it. Yeah. But I think, some of it is, some of it is misinformation. Some of it is sort of skeptic. A lot of it is misinformation, frankly.
Yeah.
Some of it is skepticism, and there's a real political sort of push too, and I think that's frustrating. But those folks who are against it politically are going to end up losing their elections because their constituents are going to die. Yeah. So eventually they're going to need to figure that part out.
My wife said you should reward the vaccine, the folks that have got the vaccine. I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Well, I think
I don't know what that means. Maybe she could elaborate, but it's like, maybe, I don't know. Do you focus more on the people that are trying to do the right thing and do all that, and then see if the others follow? Or do you focus all your time and attention on I don't know. There's not a right answer. I have no idea.
In France, when the government announced that you won't be able to go to public spaces unless you're vaccinated, like 2 million people got vaccinated the next day.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And I would have a problem with saying that if it didn't have scientific merit, but the reality is it does have scientific merit.
Yeah.
The best way to beat this is still vaccines, even though Delta seems to be a little bit more of a problem. The data is still that Delta, there was a paper published in New England Journal, that small regional paper.
Right. We've talked about that before.
That was just published like a week or two ago that showed that from some of the British data, that Pfizer seems to be almost equally effective against Delta. If you look at Oregon's numbers, if you break them out even more closely, if you look at cases per 100,000, Multnomah County is in last place, or second to last. So the most populous county in Oregon, which is also one of the most vaccinated counties in Oregon, actually has much fewer cases per capita or per 100,000 than the counties where there are low vaccination numbers. And that's part of the issue, is that this is taking off. It's very effective at transmission. So it's taking off in areas where it can find these niches and work through them very quickly. So it's it's largely unvaccinated people who still. Now, again, as we get more vaccinated, the percentage of people who get it who are vaccinated will go up, and some of the anti-vaxxers will use that, as they did in Israel, as a false argument to say, well, the vaccine doesn't work. So, there's some of the things they developed it too quickly. I think we've talked about this.
We did quite extensively,
and we did an entire podcast with young Hayden Smith, Dr. Smith, who I just saw the other day.
Oh, nice.
And he came down to admit somebody. He's like, I had so much fun on your podcast. And I told him that, he should use that because he's applying. He wants to be an infectious disease doctor. And so he's applying to fellowships. And I'm like, make sure you put a link to that on your, and he's like, I did. We did a whole podcast where we talked about the fact that these mRNA vaccines have been studied for 10 to 20 years already. And then the other piece is just this, people ask, I tell people this all the time. This is the most studied vaccine in history. There are 10 to 20 papers coming out a week about this vaccine. We've never seen anything like this before. To say that this is not well studied or experimented is just a total crock of shit.
Right.
It's just not right. It's just factually incorrect. And then the data, everything stuff pops up. Oh, what about, myocarditis? And what about
diverticulitis?
Diverticulitis.
If you missed that one, go back and watch our episode called "I'm the Patient Now," where him and I both had diverticulitis about a week apart.
I had I got sympathy diverticulitis because you were first.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Anyway, yeah. So please do what you can to get your colleagues vaccinated. And it's very frustrating. There's a part of me that just wants to wave a magic wand and get everybody. But the reality is fundamentally. As Ginger Locke said today in her Facebook page, human behavior makes sense to that person, and
of course,
and it doesn't help to berate people or call them stupid. It probably helps to listen, as Ted Lasso says. Seek to understand, not judge. So that's probably the right answer: is seek to understand and not judge. But I also think that trusted messengers are really important. There's some data that shows that people still trust their friends and family. And so if you have friends and family who aren't vaccinated, you should speak to them. They trust their physician. So even though I'm an emergency physician and I've literally just met my patient for a few minutes, I still reach out, and they trust their coworkers. So, try to find trusted, and then for communities of, communities of color who have, I think, very legitimate reasons to distrust kind of the society standard of care, having trusted, leaders speak out is really helpful.
Yeah.
So, I want to be angry and pissy, and I'm very frustrated. And like we said, we're not feeling it right now. I'm very depressed. Not depressed. That's not right. But I'm very down about this. We were trying to live our life back to normal. We're planning to travel, to go to Disney World and football games again. And now we're like, I don't know if we're going to do that. And that's very frustrating, especially after 2 weeks ago when things were looking much better.
Yeah, it's become quite disastrous over the last 10 days or so. So, well,
I mean, and I think hopefully, maybe Jeff can lighthouse it up a little bit on the CDC paper, but I think it is worth taking a look at the paper. It's one outbreak in one place, but it was pretty alarming to see that the viral load levels were higher. And so you're back to a world where sort of asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic transmission is a risk. And that the other one is like, I want to see the data. We have 50 years of data with TB showing that wearing a mask prevents transmission. 50 years. So this isn't new. It primarily prevents transmission that, the most, by the infected person. Some of the data, more recent data, shows that masking probably protects you a little bit to some degree, but it really, if everybody wears a mask, then the infected person's likelihood of transmission goes way down. And the whole point, all of these human-human interactions are a dice roll, and the whole point is to get the dice roll that are not numbered back down to below 1. We were at 0.5 for a long time, and now we're all of a sudden we're at 1.5, so that there are fewer, as that chain sort of breaks.
It says he had to cancel a trip to Florida at the end of August. That was probably a good move.
Yeah, I mean, we're planning to go to Disney World to celebrate our 30th anniversary. We're planning to go to Michigan football game in September. 110,000 of my best friends. Just like Lollapalooza.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see. Well, we have 6 weeks. If the community sort of buckles down, I actually think that because vaccines are so effective, it's different. So here's the thing. This is different than a year ago because people are vaccinated and because vaccines are so effective that it probably doesn't take a huge behavioral change to move the needle in the other direction. I do feel that pretty strongly. And I think if you read some of the epidemiologists, they kind of feel the same way. And so I think if, again, I don't think we have the political will to go back to mask mandates, which we should, frankly.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what you mandate if nobody does it. And I think if people just did it, that would be great.
Dude, you just nailed it.
Yeah. Yep. So that would be great. And again, we have the responsibility to model that behavior for our coworkers and our friends and our family.
Yeah. Agreed. And, you mentioned Ginger. She put out a great post, as have a lot of us. But, it was basically the gist of it is if you've got questions about the vaccine and, this is going back to your trusted sort of friend or family member, or whatever, she's like, message me. Let's chat about it. And I think any of us would be in the same boat. Right. So message me. Reach out. I mean, or just offer to have people reach out to you. I know that at one point I was able to vaccinate 10 of my friends and family. Right. I said, we got stuff that's getting ready to go. We got 3 weeks before it expires, and I put out the call and they came, and I was able to get 10 other people that otherwise maybe either A, wouldn't have gone somewhere to do it, or B, wouldn't have done it at all. And I think that's awesome. So be that resource for your friends and family. That's awesome. So,
yep. Seek to understand and not judge.
Yeah.
So, increase in cases where you are, Riley. Yes, you just tuned in. We are definitely seeing an increase. You want to put up do you have that graph still?
Yeah, it's right here. Stand by.
Yeah, we were down to 100 to 200 cases per day in Oregon. We're up to 1,000 for the last 3 days. Seen it. The last 3 shifts I worked, I personally did not have any COVID positive patients, but there were definitely COVID positive patients in the department that day, and 1 or 2 that got admitted. So yeah, the numbers are definitely going up. Zalkin asked an interesting question, which is anyone is checking neutralizing antibodies, and that's some of the work I think you're going to see more and more. You're going to see more and more kind of discussion around that. Pfizer and Moderna are obviously checking antibodies on folks that they're following, especially the people who are enrolled. And Pfizer is starting to make some noise about thinking that there should be a booster shot at some point, if not already. There was some data, and I didn't read the paper, but I read the sort of abstract where they talked about vaccine dropping from like 95% effective to 83% effective. The reality is that's a still pretty badass vaccine.
Good. Right.
At the beginning of all this, the FDA felt that if the vaccine was 50% effective, that it would significantly improve our ability to fight this. And so the fact that you're dropping from 95 to 83,
still pretty good.
It's still really good. In the piece, some of that is just real world. Yeah. But the other piece too is that remember that part of especially the mRNA vaccines, because of the way, actually probably the adenovirus vectors too, but because of the way the spike protein is presented intracellularly before it is, that a lot of the immunity is T cell and B cell mediated. Remember we talked about that kind of at length.
Yeah.
And you can't measure it. So you can measure antibodies, but antibodies are only one part of part of what makes this vaccine effective. And what probably makes why this vaccine is like 95% effective actually was the fact that it creates T cell, B cell immunity, as well as antibodies. So.
Well, it's good stuff. Maybe we need to have Hayden Smith back on, and maybe we should do another push.
Yeah, we could do that. I'm sure he'd be up for it.
Do you think people would share this with their moms that don't want to get it?
Well, I guess the question is how do we do a second shift that's aimed at more lay folks than our, not that our audience isn't, our audience is pretty damn sophisticated. Much like this meme that I've had on the screen the entire time. Very, very classy, very sophisticated. Probably makes the corporate folks cringe a little bit, but fine. But yeah, take us off the air. What are you going to do? We figure out a way to do a version of the second shift that is
probably wouldn't be able to cuss very much on that one.
That's okay. Our new overlords would probably be happy about that.
We've had the F word on the screen for 30 minutes. That's right there. Oh, you can't see it. They can't see my mouse, but my mouse is circling it like it's a big thing. Hey, let's move on to something else I want to talk about.
Yeah. Let's talk about this for hours and hours.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about it for a while. Your first mRNA podcast, another 15. Hey, Dave Lincoln, your first mRNA podcast convinced another 15% of my staff to get vaccinated.
Oh, thank you. That, you know what? That feels really good.
That's awesome.
That's really nice.
Yeah. Oh God, that's really good. Oh, there's Bill Toon. What's up, buddy? Oh, another thing real quick before we move on to the next thing. Well, it's sort of connected. So for this one, Ritu, our scene's going to change a little bit. So you got to make sure you're hanging right in the middle of your screen there. But I wanted to talk about this little piece right here.
Yeah.
So this has been a hot topic. This damn thing has been floating around the interwebs on the Facebooks and Twitters. Oh gosh, sorry, I had to adjust there. This is the level 6 advanced paramedic credential for Austin Travis.
This is all Pickett's fault, right?
Yeah, so this is Pickett stuff, and I think everybody else and Dr. Lincoln and just everybody that's all involved in Austin Travis. So, man, we've got TPA, Milrinone, got freaking antibiotics and fucking labetalol and insulin, and look at all these drugs.
What the fuck is Milrinone now?
It's in there. Streptokinase, dopamine, that's pretty good. Propofol, I like that one. Nicardipine, nitroprusside, like there are like potassium. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is brought out, and the reason why I wanted to just even talk about this at all was that there are people. Yes, Jay-Z says, "Geez, Texas is a delegated practice state." Thank you.
Said it, so,
yeah. People. The general reaction that I have seen when this thing popped up, because essentially what they were doing, they were congratulating one of their medics for getting like cleared for their level 6. PL6, as you can see, extended scope of practice, minimum DHSA certification, paramedic or paramedic nurse. Anyway, PL6 is what it's called. And people are like, yeah, the poor guy that just got credentialed is famous this week. Ed, you're exactly right. Yeah. But people would see this and they're like, I got to call online to give nitro to somebody. And yet we've got people rolling around out here, or I have to call to give, whatever drug. And these dudes are out here rolling around with,
with milrinone.
Yeah, they're giving milrinone and all that stuff. But I guess the funny thing, yeah, and how do they have the space for all that stuff? It's a special spaceship that comes down, and it's a Pixis that comes out. Yeah, but anyway, I just been dying. I just found it funny to me that people are like comparing themselves and which they always do. They're comparing themselves in their current situation to one of the most robust office of the medical director credentialing like things there is in existence, right? And they're trying to compare themselves, and they're like, well, why can't I give milrinone? Let's just stick with that. and it's like I guess what I really want to talk about is like, do these people that are doing this, do they have any idea of one, of the credentialing process, 2, of the oversight that's required, 3, of the training within that credentialing? Like you cannot compare yourself and your situation to what, in this particular case, Austin Travis has got going. And then try to call that apples to apples. It is not even.
But I'm a nationally registered paramedic who's licensed. Aren't I the same thing?
No. I'm just gonna say that. Like, no, I don't think so. Now, I guess the other thing I should say is like, I don't know that. I mean, I don't know the first thing, and we actually talked about seeing if we could get somebody from the office of the medical director. We've had most of them on the show, either between Lighthouse or here. They've all been on, so they probably would have been able to jump on.
Yeah, we just should have reached out to Pickett. I don't think he's watching today.
I don't think he's watching, but
he's very busy on Saturday nights, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he's probably in his tiger robe, his white tiger outfit, and sitting in front of the fireplace. He'd probably jump on it right now if I pinged him. But I mean, I guess I just find it humorous that people want to compare their thing to everybody else's, and it's just like there's just it's not about
Where did you go, Mike?
Just drive.
You've Okay, have you lost me or have I lost you?
Am I off again? Did my thing disconnect?
You just froze for a minute.
Is it back?
You're back.
I'm so tired of this program. I'm so tired of it. Well, the next thing that's going to happen is it's just going to end our broadcast altogether.
Because it did that to us once before.
That's what happened last time. And guess what? They were zero help. They said, "Oh, maybe your internet went out." I said, "Well, no, I have 1 gig hardwired. It's not going to go out." And so now we're having this whole problem again. So annoying.
So Jay-Z just mentioned the Matrix. There's a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Mr. Anderson.
Anyway, whatever. I just, don't compare yourself to other people. You need to lead from where you are. If you want to be more involved with your medical directors and your protocol development and all that stuff, then you need to do that, right? Quit comparing yourself to Austin Travis.
But I think, so let me bring up another post that I saw, which was our friend Tyler, he of the extra medium shirt.
Oh yeah, I know that guy. Small sleeves.
Tyler had put out that they were going to have somebody from NREMT on one of their podcasts. Yep. And what would you like to ask them? And the questions that were out there spoke so much of a lack of knowledge of really kind of all the different roles that in how the system works, that people really didn't have a fundamental knowledge that there are sort of different checks and balances and different hurdles to cross, and you have to meet them all. And so I found that to be very interesting. But, and it mirrors exactly what I do as a physician too. I mean, it's not any different than what I have to go through. I have local credentialing also. But the people didn't understand that the registry doesn't write the curriculum, for instance, that the registry is a certification, but that you're like totally frozen, Mike. So I'll just keep talking. But that the registry is a certification that verifies entry level competence, not that it means you're an outstanding, really great paramedic or an advanced practice paramedic or anything like that. And that licensure is, means that you also meet the minimum standard, but also that you meet the state's minimum standards for sort of trustworthiness is a good way to describe it. So in our state, you have to get licensure, you get national registry, and then you have to pass a background check. But at the fundamental point is your ability to practice as a paramedic comes down to your local credentialing of your EMS medical director and the medical, your local agency and director. Can have different standards that are definitely higher. Other folks may have like a, patch, you're in, great. And then it's not unusual to have systems that have it is unusual. It's actually pretty rare. But Austin, Travis County, which has different steps of credential, Wake, where Jay-Z, yes, Mike, so lame. Wake, where Jay-Z was the director for a long time, they have advanced practice paramedics and they have an advanced scope of practice. And so that local credentialing piece is part of the whole puzzle. Now, for a lot of agencies, who are trying to meet sort of a minimal mission, you might find that, if you have a patch, that's good enough. And in our case, I mean, our local credentialing is pretty good, but it's not overly tough. We do, everybody goes through their academies and gets extra training, and but we're also not probably as and we don't have the advanced practices that they do in places like Austin. I don't know if Jeff Jarvis has advanced practice paramedics. So I have no idea what to do. It's all you, brother. I'm stuck. Did you just want to lob stuff at me? Do you want to, if you log out, then the whole thing kind of shuts down, doesn't it? Because you're the host. But yeah, that was the whole piece with that kind of, everything is not the same. And just because you have a registry card or a state patch doesn't mean you can do everything. And just so you understand, as a physician, I have to get locally credentialed to practice in the emergency department. I have privileges at the hospital. Every 2 years, I have to renew those. And usually as part of those privileges, I have to present, the number of cases that I've done where we've done deep sedation, the number of cases, intubations, all the procedures to sort of verify that I have still some competency in all of the emergency department things. So this model is not unique to paramedics. It's how physicians practice too. Yep. And Bill, you're right. And NREMT is very misunderstood. I served on that board of directors for 8 years, and the focus of the NREMT always has been and always will be entry-level competence. I know people give them a hard time about not doing advanced practice paramedics, and maybe someday they will do something like that, but they are focused on ensuring that the paramedics who carry the registry card and patch are, or EMTs or advanced EMTs, are are competent to the entry level. Are you back? You're back. You are. What was that? Yeah. Yeah. And what? I think so. Could you hear me at all? Oh, all right. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, so people don't understand the registry that well. Um, I've had that, like I said, I was on their board. I've worked on them. I'm going to be working with them on some other stuff too. They're always looking at the sort of best and easiest way to measure competency so that we don't have to cost, people a lot of money, those sorts of things. You look like you're frozen on the screen there, but I can see you just fine. Yeah, I can see you and I can hear you, but it looks like on our broadcast, you're just a big blank screen. That sounds like a plan. Yeah, they can't hear you. Now, so on behalf of Captain Mike Forecast, this is Dr. Ritu Sani. You've been listening and watching another episode of the Second Shift podcast. A proud member of the Flight Bridge Ed family, podcast family, and a Fire Dog production.